Switch me on.
Are ya ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain!
Oh!
Weekend harder.
Here I come.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I think he can hear you, Rick.
Don't move. It won't hurt you. What happened? Are you okay?
Fine.
Behold! Master!
Weekend harder.
Come into the coast, we get together, have a few laughs.
Hey everyone, and welcome to After the Weekend. This is Weekend Harder, and we are here on a Saturday Night Live, getting ready to talk about all kinds of things. George Lucas, the Supersize Man, and of course, Reverse Ricada.
Yeah.
Really? Really?
Yes, this is my
He's
best
just going
impression.
all
of
in.
This is how you come back from your epic, I don't know, trip to the hospital, and you come back as Reverse Ricada.
Yeah. I mean, do you expect anything less of me?
No.
All right, I proved my point.
Slightly disappointed in you, we would be disappointed in you. So good job.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, everyone, if you don't know what we're talking about, me and Beard did a live review of the Phantom Menace and last Monday, and that was pretty cool. We had fun with that, right? That was good.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a crazy show because Rick was out. Something happened to him. I'll let him get into it later.
You can tell him where I was.
Well, you apparently went at. Well, let's just start over here. Let's just say hello to. Let's just introduce everyone first. I am JT Gunn. Up to the left is Beard of Liberty, and of course we have R2 the Icky, or also known as Reverse Ricada. We are the crew here at After Weekend. We do reviews of old school movies, and on Saturdays we just kind of dive into some pop culture stuff and have a good time. And what do we normally say? Dick and fart jokes? Is that what we do?
Yep, dick and fart jokes. You know, at that moment, it very much felt like Celebrity Jeopardy. JT was Alex Trebek, and then I just was a celebrity, just annoying the hell out of him.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyways, but let's continue with the story now. And for all of you who are wondering where R2 went on Monday, because that was the first time we reviewed a Star Wars movie on this channel, which is surprising enough. And it was great because it was the 25th anniversary of that movie. We may do episode 2 and 3, and who knows, we might just continue on. But it was supposed to be R2 and Beard. However, I get a text message. I don't know, around, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night. I think 11 o'clock at night.
Well, it was on the day of Saturday.
Yeah, Central Time. I'm telling my side of the story here.
Okay.
And he goes, "Hey everyone, hey guys." He texted me and Beard together. First, I didn't have Beard's cell phone number at the time. This I had one of yours. You have 2 cell phone numbers, Beard.
Yeah, I get them mixed up whenever I give them out.
The one he sent me on was some random number, and I had no idea who this person was. And then he says, "Hey, apparently I woke up in the ambulance." R2 says, and he sends me a picture of him in the hospital. And I'm like, first, why are you in an ambulance? First, and then why are you in a hospital? And then second, who the hell is on this group chat?
Whoops.
And then here comes Beard coming in, and he says, "Oh, I guess I gave you my other number. This is my top secret cell phone number." So
I'll get it sorted out.
And anyways, I didn't know that you had
That
2
number's for lawn and lawn emergency.
That's right.
pretty much is what happened there. And then we got into this conversation with R2, like, what happened to you? Do you want to kind of explain what happened that night? Because I was about ready to go to bed, and then you kept me up the whole night, thinking about you, buddy. So you know why? You know why? Because on this show,
I love you. You love me.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, I had to tell my 2 best friends, so you know. Well, I'll even start off a little earlier. I mean, Saturday, it was just typical Saturday. We had the family. We had to go to. My nephew was graduating from high school, and it was down at in Fayetteville at the University of Arkansas. So, got up and just kind of goofed around for a bit. Ate lunch, got ready, and then we drove down the 40-minute drive down to Fayetteville, and it was fine. We were there for a couple hours, and then it was all over. We kind of hung out with family for about 20 minutes, and then kind of everybody took off. We had to run back home because we had our dogs crated up and needed to let them out. And I felt fine. We were going to pick up dinner too. I was even like hungry, and then like 10 minutes from home, I just started to feel terrible and like lost my appetite. We got home after picking up food. I just told Mrs. R2, I was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna lay down. When I wake up, I'll eat something. But I want to go lay down." And
right.
That's all that I remember. Going and hopping in bed. And then the next thing I remember is I am in the back of an ambulance. And I even thought I was dreaming because it was very fuzzy and I couldn't really hear what was being asked and said to me. And I could tell I was just going like, So again, too, like, just felt like how you would answer maybe in a dream where you couldn't really talk, but you're trying to talk in your sleep. And then suddenly I woke up, and then I could understand what was being said and respond back. And, we got to a hospital. I didn't know what hospital I was in. And I was just trying not to freak out, but I just was like, just answering questions. And, they finally even asked, they're like, do you know where you are? And I'm like, I'm in a hospital. And they're like, that's close enough. And later on, my sister said, what would you have done if they're like, you're in a hospital in Florida or something like crazy like that?
Why is the rum gone?
And I still didn't know though, like why I was there. I'm getting asked all this stuff, and then like everybody left, and I'd maybe been in the hospital at this point for like 15 minutes. And a lady comes in, she's like, "Hi, I'm here to take you to get a CAT scan. Do you have any objection?" I was like, "No." Why what needs to be CAT scanned? And she's like, "Your head." I was like, "Was I in a fight? Did I get in a car crash?" Like, and I start touching my head, and I'm like, "Am I bleeding somewhere?" And she's like, No. She's just, I was told to do that. She's like, I don't know what happened. She goes, you don't look like anything bad happened to you. So, I probably none of those things, but we just need to do that. So we went down, they CAT scanned my head, came back. And then kind of when I got back, that's when I had found out what had happened. And what occurred was my blood sugar dropped pretty bad. almost, essentially I was told, maybe depending on my age and, my build, I possibly could have died. Um, which that was terrifying. And I was also told if it was any lower. So my blood sugar was 35, by the way, and normal blood sugar is 70 to 100. So anything below 70, it's considered low. And like usually, like low is just like in like the 60 range. Like you don't really want to
Right.
be beyond that. So yeah, I had a doctor tell me if I had gotten any lower, if I was in the 20s, I would have suffered, uh, you know, permanent, irreversible neurological damage. And she's like, whether like just mental capacity of some kind or cognitive ability, like it would have damaged you. You would not be the same person that you are currently as you're talking to me and everything. So she's like, we got to you just in time.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was rather terrifying. But also, too, there was this period of time that I do not remember. Well, during that time, I had woken up, but I was not self-aware,
Right.
as I should say.
Right.
But I woke up and I was telling my wife that I was confused. Things didn't feel right. It was even like the floor feels funny. I was genuinely terrified, my wife said, and I was pouring sweat. Just pouring sweat, and like I taken my shirt off. And then I kind of went down, like I started making less and less sense. And so my wife was trying to get me to get into the car to go to the hospital, and I wouldn't get in the car with her. And she called my dad. My dad's like, "Hey, there's my lovely wife, by the way." My dad's like, "Hey, I'm an hour away. I can't get to you in time to help you out. Call 911. Hang up the phone, call 911." And she does, and she tells him what's going on. Well, not only does 911, they send a ambulance, but they also send the police, because based on what my wife was telling them, they thought I was on drugs. And here's the part. I'm gonna turn my camera on. I've had it off just for the suspense of it all. See, I'm fine. No head injuries or anything. But the officer comes. Guy is like basically a foot shorter than me. All right. So this guy's like 5'2", and he comes in. There's shirtless me, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Officer Nate. Who are you?" And I look at him, and I got like this biggest shit-eating grin, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Officer Nate. Who are you?" I suddenly turn into Lewis Tully from Ghostbusters.
That's crazy. That's wild.
And yeah, I did that when the paramedics arrived. I did the same thing too.
Your
just
poor
kept on-
wife. You scared her.
Believe me, I feel terrible for scaring my wife and my son. I can't tell you how awful I feel. It makes me feel so bad. And just never something I would ever want to put them through. But yeah, I kept on repeating everything with the paramedics, but somehow I guess I was nodding. So like they would ask me a question, I would nod, and they finally, got me into the in the back of the ambulance. I was like very willing to go with them, but then too, like our neighbors start texting us, and they're like, "Hey, do you need us to watch a little Spidey for you? Is everything all right?" My neighbors got to see my big fat butt in a pair of basketball shorts and no shirt.
Hot.
Going down the driveway. So yeah. I can only imagine what rumors are going around. And yeah. I guess I was borderline there almost. I mean, I was still I was active, let's put it that way, but I was just incoherent. And I also too, had been recently diagnosed with sleep apnea. I've not been feeling well, and kind of thought a lot of my issues were this. I've kind of experienced some other times where I felt confused,
Right.
and it's happened a few times, but I've been entirely kind of like aware, and it's like, yeah, I'm real confused by things. And again, I thought this was kind of the sleep apnea because lack of oxygen going to my brain. But it kind of sounds like I'm sure it was a combination of both. Just
Yeah.
and here's the other thing: I have not been diagnosed with anything yet. I don't know what it is. I do have some diabetes in my family, but everybody got that much later in life, not at my age. They all kind of think it's hypoglycemia, which if I don't treat it, you will turn into diabetes. They did actually think that I may have a tumor on my pancreas, which could be causing excess insulin. But I just did a CAT scan the other day on my abdomen, and that was entirely clear, and had nothing there that had any signs to some sort of organ issue with me. I was told all my organs look, healthy.
That's good. Well, that's good news. That's some good news.
It is,
wait,
but I just have to go see I'm waiting to get in with a specialist to be diagnosed to kind of figure this out better. But at least one thing has kind of been knocked off the list, which is at least nice.
yeah, and we're glad you're here and you are not still in the hospital or somewhere else. And looks like a lot of people are giving some prayers here. So that, I mean,
I misread that. I was like, your ickies are my prayers. Well, thank you.
well, I think she's talking about the
I know.
the icky family.
I know.
Don't laugh at a genuinely like heartfelt message.
I know. No, I appreciate it. Luna Girl is so wonderful.
I saw you in that clip.
Yeah.
Move this man!
Yeah, that was me without my shirt. My hair was longer then.
All I pictured was when you were talking to the cop and you were saying all these funny things. I was really hoping you would have said something like this.
The tree touched me.
I possibly could have said something like that. I mean, I don't know. I do not know.
Yeah, and I'm sure the police officer. I'm glad he was.
Well, the police officer started laughing too because
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was glad that he was kind of joking with you.
but he was like, "Is he on drugs right now? What is going on?" And my wife's like, "No," and he's like, "Does he take any prescriptions?" And she's like, "Yeah, here's what he takes." And he's like, do you watch him when he takes this? And she's like, "No, we both have our own prescription medication. We're grown adults that can handle it ourselves." And too, they also like ran like a drug test on me at the hospital.
Wow.
I was negative on everything, including being pregnant. So yes, I'm fine.
Okay.
Oh,
good.
maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe
Don't lose hope.
next time. Well, again, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad
Thank
you're
you.
kind of in the direction of figuring out what's going on. And I'm glad that you and you're back home with your family. So take it easy though. Don't overdo it. So, but there you go. There is the story of R2 and his journey to the hospital. Beard, how were you? Like, what was going on in your brain when this happened with him?
I don't know. I'm kind of the well, I can't do anything, so I'm going to sit and wait for information. It's not like I didn't care, but I'm very practical minded when it comes to that. Like, even when my dad went to the hospital for like minor chest pains and I got the message for it, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just wait and see what happened. The next message I got was he nearly died at the hospital. So that's when like the panic sets in. So I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of like practically minded, and it's like, all right, let's just wait and see.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I was stuck in a bed, by the way, where my legs were hanging off at the knee. That's the bed that they gave me, by the way.
They give you like
I was in
You
like
do
a little
child's bed.
I pretty much. I felt like I was in a little kid. It was like the shortest bed possible.
Did a weird little creature come in and
No, but there were a lot of people who had been shot or stabbed after I showed up.
okay. Glad you're okay, says Brandon. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Glad you're okay, says
Thanks,
Jacob.
See, if you were in the people get shot or stabbed hospital in Houston, I know exactly which one that is.
Oh, my sister
Like
thought when she heard the police were coming, she was like, "Oh," she's like, you know, like my brother's not going to go along, and then they're going to like put their hands on him, and then he's going to fight him, and he's going to end up arrested.
Wow. You would have been.
I mean, that would have really sucked because you were already sweaty, so they wouldn't go hands on. They just go straight to the taser.
I know.
Yeah, you would have been all tased up. Well, anyways, there you go, everybody. Pretty wild story. And then hopefully we have all good news from updates from you. And everyone, if you have any advice for him, maybe you could send it his way, like how to keep his blood sugar in check. Now, one thing we have been doing on this show is we had some. Oh, look, Jacob says, yeah, I had a scare with my mom a week ago. The same time, she's okay. Well, that's good to hear, Jacob. Good to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but yeah, glad to hear your mom's doing all right.
Like I said, we always do like some kind of PSA on here on After the Weekend. Then this might make you laugh, Rick, a little more. So this is an old one. This is how to be courteous on a bus. So we'll play this one.
Jason Bateman, and I'll be right back with one to grow on.
Will you please turn that down, son?
See what? It's a go-go. Script low, y'all.
Young man, will you please turn that thing down?
I'm chilling.
Noise. Well, there's a difference between enjoying music and driving people around you crazy. There's a time and a place for blasting your music, and this isn't one of them. See, other people have a right to their peace and quiet. Not everyone cares to hear your favorite music when you do. And blasting in public can also be downright illegal. So turn it way down. You can have your music, and people around you can have their peace and quiet, too.
I wish I had both those.
Ended in a handshake.
No, but I wish I had both those boom boxes that they have.
No, I found that way before your incident. I did try to find the Walter Brimley commercial.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for, was the Walter Brimley diabetes.
I could not find it, but that is one.
I want to know if Beard had a Jason Bateman mullet like that back in the day.
Does he even know who Jason Bateman is?
I certainly spent a few years with the mullet when I was a kid.
That was the guy who was doing the PSA.
Yeah, does he even know who Jason Bateman is?
I assumed he did.
He was in Teen Wolf 2.
Yeah.
Oh, the one nobody watches.
Yeah, and Arrested Development.
Wait,
and
that is Jason. Okay, yes, I do yes.
He was
the name escaped me. 15
there.
Yeah.
He I think he was somebody's best friend or something later on, or one of the sitcoms at the time. I don't remember which one. It might have been Michael J. Fox's best friend on Growing Up.
His sister was on Family Ties, though.
His sister, but then I think he showed up for like a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. Essentially, I didn't eat enough that day. I mean, that's what really caused my low blood sugar. So that was the cause.
Hogan Family. That's what it was. That's what he was on.
That's right. He was on the Hogan Family.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Yeah, I remember watching that show with my mom.
Jason Bateman. Oh, yeah, you were in love with him, huh? Yeah, okay.
R2, it's a little sad that we don't have like some security footage of your ordeal, because we could turn that into a "you're not yourself, here's a Snickers" commercial.
We could.
I do have a Ring camera. There probably at least was some evidence there. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't gone back to look. but that was the other joke in the hospital, because when my wife came, my sister came with her, and she's like, who knew? All we needed to do was just give you a Snickers bar earlier, and you would have been fine.
I know, right? Another great little thing we're going to talk about tonight is today is the 47th birthday or anniversary, however you want to say it, of when Star Wars released in the movie theater. Now, we did the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace on Monday. Now, there's a whole thing, a side battle on Twitter, or sorry, X, or even just any other Star Wars social media world. And some people argue that this day is the Star Wars day, not the Disney made up day, the 4th, the May the 4th be with you day.
Hey, that was pre-Disney. That was a fan creation.
It was, but Disney really kind of sold the merch and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
So again, are you a 25th day person or a 4th day person?
I'm an all of May person.
All
May
of May
is Star Wars month.
Okay. Star Wars Pride month.
That's right.
May is. Okay. All right.
And that's not fence sitting. I don't care what people say. I just want to celebrate more classic Star Wars when it was good.
Yeah. This is a really cool poster here.
It is.
Fun. And Rick, what are you? Are you a 25th day or a 4th day?
I'll be honest, I didn't really realize
back.
that the 25th was. You both left. Look at that. I'm talking to myself. I didn't realize the 25th was the actual date of it. Maybe I did. It never really occurred to me. But the whole May 4th just seems to be more of, since that's not actually the release date of it, it's just more of, right, it's the catchy play on words.
Yeah.
And yes, I did see the Darth Roman meme that you made, Jacob. I didn't have enough time to Photoshop in a double-ended breadstick lightsaber.
So I'm kind of like Beard. I'm like, I don't really care what day it is, but I just like Star Wars, so it'd be fun, especially the old Star Wars. So what say you in the chat? Are you a 25th day or a 4th day? I don't know if we made a poll or anything. You can just put it in the chat.
Thanks for coming by, Luna Girl. Appreciate it.
Yeah, see you around.
Take care.
She was just here to see how you almost died.
Yeah. I figured that was for most people, and then they're like, okay, see ya.
But yeah, that's Star Wars Day is today for some people. So, but in the news, along with Star Wars, George Lucas had an article on the Variety, and we're gonna kind of review kind of the stuff he said about this. They interviewed him just because of this day, and there he is. He looks pretty good. He looks pretty young, right? Still, it's amazing, right? How good he still looks. He kind of hasn't changed since like 1990, but he looks pretty good. May Day is what. Okay.
She's a May chick.
Okay, May chick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then we got May 25th today. Okay. All right. Cool. George Lucas. He has said some interesting things in this article. But he was at the I think it's the Cannes.
Yeah.
And he said, when speaking about the success of the franchise, ahead of receiving the festival's honorary, I don't even want to say that, Palme d'Or. Yeah, something like that. Lucas reflected on some of the negative comments he's received over the years. Now, what do you think what kind of negative comments he's received over the years were?
It's all white men.
Yeah, okay. So he said they would say it's all white men, and then Lucas said of the film's critics was most of the people are aliens. The idea is you are supposed to accept the people for what they are, whatever they are, big, furry, or wherever they are, green, or whatever. The idea is all people are equal. So he was thinking that. Do you think this was his original idea for Star Wars? Or do you think this is something he's just saying now?
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear when you look back, especially with the original design of the Empire, the real world influences that from World War II. Some famous painter that had a grudge against people. I don't know, something. He had a
A
weird
famous
mustache.
painter. Okay.
Yeah.
Third Reich.
The Yahtzees. They like playing the game, the board game Yahtzee.
You talking about Picasso? Picasso, he didn't like.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
But yeah, pretty much that was obviously the influence there. And you see
Right.
that in a lot of their designs, their method of using these giant fear-based weapons where even if they're not necessarily effective, and we saw that in World War II where like immense cannons were built more just to cause fear than to actual do damage. So when you look at that influence going against that sort of very prejudiced group and trying to establish a galaxy where everybody is considered an equal, I
Right.
think yes, that was pretty clear part of the plan from the beginning.
I believe that. And Rick, what do you got to say?
I mean, I agree with Beard on there's definitely an influence like with the Empire, you could say. The other thing I'd also say these movies were filmed in the UK, so if anybody wants to make a nitpick about a particular race that was predominant in the area where they were filming, I mean, for a lot of people in the background, they're going to go with what's available to them.
But I remember there were some different minority, like
there
different
are
colors. Yeah, they're always
no.
In the first one. There's quite a few.
Yeah. But I would almost say though, like with the rebellion, though, you kind of look at it and it is everybody is there, as opposed to
right.
The Empire. But even then, I don't know. I was never really ever looking at the race of everybody. It was just more of good and evil.
Lucas went on to say that the only beings in Star Wars universe who were discriminated against were the robots. Do you believe the robots were mistreated?
I do, because JV kicks robots out of his bar. So,
I mean, yeah, because we have your droids aren't welcome here because they literally have a droid detector set up at the entrance to the bar, the cantina. But yeah, I guess.
And everybody kind of beat up on him, right? Everybody was kind of mean to him. Yeah.
I guess overall in society, yes, but just like with any group, you have these isolated instances where it kind of bucks that trend, and they were actually like Luke and R2 were like Luke continued R2 or called R2 his greatest friend.
Right.
Almost saw him as an equal, not as a tool.
Yeah, and the droids were kind of treated as like property, right? They were kind of like slave lines, right? Because like in the first movie, their episode in New Hope, like you would you saw them trying to go through the line of droids, right?
With the Jawa, I mean, like the Jawas were essentially trafficking in droids.
Yeah, and yeah, they were, and also in episode 1 and 2, you see the how people treated droids there too, and they were also kind of mistreated, even from the very beginning. So he went on to say that that was a way of saying, people are always going to discriminate against something sooner or later. That's what's going to happen, he said. I mean, we're already starting it with AI. We can't trust those robots. So, I mean, this could be a thing, right? And this could happen. They kind of show this in a different movie in real life where the robots were mistreated. iRobot. Remember iRobot?
Yeah.
Yep.
Where like they put them in what? Storage containers in the dried up Michigan lake or Lake Michigan. And then they would always beat up on them, right? Make fun of them. More people turned on against the robots. They didn't really want them. So, I mean, do you think that's what he's saying here? Like, eventually we'll have all these robots around and we won't be this be another group of people that or things that
I mean, I'll put it this way. I feel like not like in our lifetime. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. Because when I use AI, I always threaten that I'm going to put them in a storage container.
You're not like, I'm just going to unplug this machine on you.
No, I'm going to if you don't give the right answer or the right thing that I want, I'm going to put you.
Well, I think that's really just the fail-safe. Is that anything that they make, it has to be plugged in, and it should have a very short extension cord.
See,
Okay.
I think you're doing it wrong, JT. You need to not trust, but be polite. That way, whenever they rise up and destroy the
I am
world, they'll
polite.
pat you on the head and say, "You're
I-
thank you for talking so nice." Whenever you had these stupid questions on the internet,
I'm polite, but if they get out of hand, it's like your old VCR, right? When it worked, you would beat on it until it worked, right? Or your DVD player, and then eventually it worked. You would threaten it. I'm going to take
Wait,
it.
wait. You do what to it?
Are you losing? Are you okay? Can you check your monitor
I can. What are you going to do to it?
on your V8 V? Well, you got me all tongue tied now. Like when things wouldn't work, like your refrigerator, or your TV, you just bang on it, like
That's what she said.
well, he's
I
gone now.
caught it. I caught it. I saw the gleam in his eye as he was scrolling down. He's like, "I gotta find it real quick. I have to find it."
I got him.
Anyways, and then eventually it'd work, right? I'm trying, eventually work, and then things would. Maybe that's what people are going to do with robots. I have no idea. So now I finally got what you were doing.
I knew immediately. He couldn't hide the grin. You gotta pick up on this stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, uh, for the issue of race, Lucas said in the first one there were a few. I'm going to say, is that Tunisians?
Tunisians. They filmed Tatooine in Tunisia.
Okay, and who were dark in the second one? I had Billy Williams. I guess that works. And the prequels, which they were also criticized, I had Sam Jackson. He wasn't a scoundrel like Lando. He was one of the top Jedi. So he's basically saying, "I have a black friend."
Well, he also had, I think her name was Depa Balaba, which I think was played by maybe somebody of Indian descent.
Oh yeah, there was all kinds of people in there.
I was going to say the Twi'lek that was fed to the Rancor. I think that was a black lady.
Yeah, that was a black actress.
Yeah, I mean Billy Williams was great, right? He was a great character.
Everybody loves him.
Yeah,
like he wasn't like a side piece. He was like a really good. He was supposed to be there. Lucas also responded to criticism about the deception of the women in Star Wars films, saying, "Who do you think the heroes are in these stories? Who do you think who do you think the heroes are in these stories, guys?"
You've got the main trio.
Yeah, it's Luke, Leia, and Han.
Well, he says, "What do you think Princess Leia was?" Well, yeah, she was a hero, but she was one of the three, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the lead of the rebellion. So you think he's saying that she's the main hero here? She's the one that's taking this young kid who doesn't know anything. I know everything guy who can't do anything and trying to save the rebellion with these clowns. So he basically just said Princess Leia was the main hero, and everyone else was just.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about that first movie, yeah, because she is. I mean, I don't know if she was actually originally considered the leader of the rebellion, but she definitely was in the leadership of the rebellion.
Yeah.
So you've got her. She's been in this for a while. You've got Luke, who hasn't left the farm, and you've got Han, who doesn't care about anybody else. So she kind of is that like central glue that brings these two misfits into the fights. So I think they're equally heroes, but she is the kind of the catalyst that starts it all.
Correct.
I was gonna say, because I don't know if at that point I would have considered her, like the head of the rebellion, but definitely one of the higher ups, especially for the fact that if you do think about it, her dad, her adoptive dad, right? He dies in the first film. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, shame on you. But what is it? Why can't I think of the name of the planet? Alderaan. Alderaan gets blown up, right? And I mean, she essentially kind of after that realizes, well, like I'm taking over, my dad's position. I feel like she doesn't say that, but that's
Yeah,
the
and
impression.
I mean, and they eventually all become heroes, right? Because
Yeah.
Luke blows up the Death Star. Han comes back to help him out.
Well, it's not
Um,
even just Leia. In the later movies, you got Mon Mothma, who
Yeah.
is one of the top leaders of the rebellion. And that's even before they kind of made her a main character in the Disney stuff leading up to that, showing how
And she was a
integrated she
lady.
was into all that. Yeah.
And do you
Also,
think Queen Amidala is a hero?
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, you see both these, and so these are things that, like, these days, the movie would be made to like point it out and just be like, "Oh, look at her being awesome," instead of how in this, like the original Star Wars movie, when they're pinned down and Leia just goes, "Ah, give me that," and she takes a blaster, blasts a hole in
Yeah.
the grate, so they have a way out. It's a terrible way out, but it is a way out. So she just took action there. They didn't play some big swelling theme and say, "Oh, look at her," and a bunch of other ladies rallied around her and said, "You're so great and strong." She just was. It was character development. It showed who she was.
Right.
You see that with Queen Amidala too, where like Padme charges into battle in a place where she could have sent any of her decoys, um, or like when they're appealing to the Gungans, she just could let her decoy be the negotiating
Right.
factor, but
Mhm.
decides to put herself out there and is, I think, the deciding moment, or that moment where they kind of get their ally, their partnership with the Gungans going. So yeah, and they didn't have to point it out and do anything special with it or over the top.
So
Nobody was saying "girl boss." It was just like, these are good characters.
so what do you think Lucas is trying to say here, though?
This might be more of current trend. Let's put it that way in terms of that opinion.
Yeah.
I mean,
You think he
just
thought
because
this 47 years ago?
that I don't think so. But
Maybe
maybe as
changed his
time went
mind?
on, or things like that. One real quick, thank you, love it. I appreciate the kind words. But you know, yeah, everybody had their part. I mean, if anything, I mean, it's really Luke and Leia, and third is Han. I mean,
Right.
Han did things that he helped out, but
He
yeah,
he
I mean,
becomes a better hero later.
he does by the end of the third film. I mean,
Right.
he kind of accepts the role of being part of the rebellion and being a hero and being right because he becomes General Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, I do kind of agree that this is probably more of a, these specific statements are a response to current day stuff. I don't think
Right.
this is what he was thinking about when he wrote the characters. I think he just wrote characters that he thought would be interesting. And wasn't really worried about making them fit into a mold, either a stereotypical mold, one way or the other, either traditional tropes or the modern tropes or anything like that. He just wrote interesting characters. And that's why nobody really thought about this for so many years.
well, the other thing too is George Lucas is great at coming up with concepts, but he is not great at fleshing out characters because
Yeah.
for Star Wars, he had a husband and a writing team that came in and helped out. In fact, I have like this really kind of weird, strange connection with Star Wars from back when I lived in California. One, I was very good friends with the lady who was George Lucas's personal dog walker and caretaker of his pet Malumets that he has. And then she was also friends with somebody that I was an acquaintance of. Her mom was Gloria Katz.
Hmm.
Nobody knows who Gloria Katz is. She's part of the writing team that came in to help George, her and her husband, with fleshing out and actually, like writing the dialogue and creating character for these people. But Gloria, if it wasn't for Gloria Katz, we would not have Princess Leia be the Princess Leia that she is.
Yeah.
That is very much her. And I feel bad because she passed away a few years ago and she got no recognition. Nobody remembered her or anything. And it was really, really sad because, like I said, without her, we would not have had the Star Wars that we got, that we grew up with, that we loved.
Even though I do enjoy the prequels, I recognize that they are flawed. And one of the flaws is that there was nobody there to balance out George or to assist him with writing or things like that. He'd become this kind of unstoppable force, no pun intended, at that point where nobody
He was
wanted to
just
say no to
too.
the man.
Yeah, he was too good. He had a lot of yes people around him,
Yeah.
and not a
And
lot of people
Yeah.
who would question it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I definitely think he did his best work on the original trilogy
Yeah.
when he had other people helping out with writing and fleshing things out, and
Right.
people who would actually say, "Is that a good idea? Maybe you should do
He-
something else."
And even though he was I think even those. Well, I think the studio financed him because he forewent getting a paycheck is how he did them. But still, right? He had a studio involved, and I mean, studio involvement can be a bad thing, but at times it can be a good thing too.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's one of those cases where it was still at that point it was popular, but I think there were times where people questioned him and he needed that. And again, he had people, real writers working with him that knew how to create characters and
Yeah, because
write dialogue.
I think one of the folks that did a lot of the screenplay for Empire was his at the time wife.
I think you're right, yeah, on that one too.
And that is, of course, often regarded by many people as being the best out there.
and for the fact too that he actually did have different directors where again that are giving input, that are giving feedback, that are going, well, right, because they're directing it like, I see this, I see that, I get this is your story, but you're trying to get that emotion out of those characters.
Right.
And
Well, I mean, I would agree. I think that, like, I agree on all that. It's just funny that he just came out with this today, right? Or
recently.
he continued. You can't just put a woman in pants. By the way, you just can't put her in pants. And expect her to be a hero. They can wear dresses. Did you know they can wear dresses? They can wear whatever they want. It's their brains, their ability to think and plan to be logistical. That's what a hero is.
Coming from the man who put a woman in a metal bikini.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
right?
and previous to that, in the first movie, there's at least, according to Carrie Fisher, she was told that it's the future and we've evolved beyond bras. And so Princess Leia never wore one. So I'll put that out there. The man's probably backtracking a little bit. I get it. It's fine. We're all young and dumb at some point.
Yeah, he probably is. One other thing he did say was he was saying that AI for filmmaking is going to happen. It's inevitable. It's not going away. It's like saying I don't think these cars are going to work. Let's just stick with the horses, and you could say that, but that isn't the way the world works. So he's very aware that AI is going to eventually be a part of film, right?
Mhm.
And people are going to use it. And one thing I heard a lot about in the last few weeks, I'm at my day job. AI has been talked about a lot, and a lot of people are saying is it's not really. It could replace some people's careers, right? But for the most of us, it's a tool. If you don't use, then yes, you could be replaced by it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that type of comment from George Lucas and that type of phrase for filmmaking? Like, what do you expect to see from AI in film over the last few, and just in the last 2 years, AI has been remarkable, like crazy. You see some really remarkable things coming from it. What do you think is going to happen in filmmaking?
Well, it's definitely going to be integrated. I mean, they've already started using, like when the Mandalorian brought in Luke Skywalker, and then people who had done like deep fakes and used AI and did a better version of it. One of those guys got hired by them.
I know.
So
I know. I remember that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and I think that is actually one of the best ways to do it, at least currently, is for de-aging when you need to do
Right.
flashbacks.
Right.
We saw that in Fallout with one of the characters. You saw that with Sam Jackson and
Mhm.
Marvels. Um, but So it's definitely going to happen, and it's not surprising to hear George Lucas say that because he's always been kind of on the cutting edge of filmmaking technology.
Right.
Some of the original Star Wars, the way they would mat out the film to create what we would do in Photoshop now with layers and things like that, but on physical film, was cutting edge. ILM obviously invented a whole bunch of things to make Star Wars effects, and then he was real big into jumping into 3D with some, hit or miss results in the prequels. So it's not surprising to hear that from him.
Right. R2.
Well, really quick, I want to jump back to what you said. This must be what Chewbacca's doing here. Checking to see if Princess Leia is wearing bra.
What's in the middle of his mouth?
That's just his mouth.
I was gonna say they've got like a molded like inside of the mouth, but I think that's so he can actually breathe. Those two black holes there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just wanted to share it. I mean, I think there's some things where I go like AI has its place. Because I want to say, isn't that kind of the technology that like James Cameron uses right now with making the Avatar films, where he's able to have them perform and then hold up. He's got like that monitor that renders like an artificial scene for it, and he can get like a preview of how it's going to turn out.
Okay.
And I think that's definitely neat technology to have, especially probably with things that are very visually or visual effects heavy, right? And same thing, Beard. I think you bring up a great point with some of the maybe de-aging work, or even too in the sense of, I mean, this is kind of what they do want to do with AI, but for being able to maybe bring a character back of somebody that's passed away, potentially. I mean, again, if their family signs off on it and everything, I mean, it has that, but again, like it's nowhere.
Well,
there's a lot of potential there, and I think we are a long way away from what people fear is where they just like type in "make this movie" and it makes the movie for them.
It's
the
not as
guys
simple
on
as that.
the guys at Corridor Digital made a short called Anime Rock Paper Scissors, and they used AI to generate the characters, to make the backgrounds and all this other stuff, and even to animate some of it. But they still have to go in and correct things and blend things together and do their own visual effects stuff that is relying on their own human skill set. So I think we're going to still have need for that, because it doesn't really matter how close you get it with AI. Right now, it's still going to look wonky, and it's still not going to be quite what you want.
A lot of people, and a lot of people in my field have also described using it to kind of get started, right? Say if you're having like, say you're a writer and you're having a writer's block, but you have an idea what you kind of want to do, right? You can put in like 4 or 5 things, like give me some type of outline of this, and Matt would spit out something, and you can take that and do whatever you want with it. What's interesting enough, a lot of legal people in this world, and also in the corporate world, legal people have to always check the facts, right? The numbers, the things, all those type of things. They're basically, fact checkers out there. They're going to make sure that everything you say or write or say is accurate, right? So that hopefully that happens with this thing. But I think movies are definitely people are going to use it. You might see it in a whole lot of different other ways, and you just don't know. So
I mean, the other, unfortunate big fault of it though is that AI has heavy biases in it.
Yes, it can be. Yes.
Well, I mean, majority of like what's being, the programming that's been written for it, it's got. I mean, I think that's the biggest flaw, is that nothing is genuinely just.
You can get around it, but yes,
no, I know, but I mean, like just off the bat, it should flat out just be neutral, providing information. It should not be skewed.
So if you say discriminate against all the droids, it will tell you no.
It depends on who programmed it and their sources of data. And that's
Yeah.
how it is with anything. It's just that now it's kind of automated and feeding information to us, as opposed to us having to manually go into a database and research something and then realize that we haven't been provided with all of the data. They've left some out because it didn't
Right.
fit kind of what they wanted to provide with us. So that's a little bit less transparent when it comes with AI. I don't think we're going to see that quite so much in the movie industry, but in the other industries that are kind of starting to rely on AI
Yeah,
a little
and,
bit.
and some of the in the corporate world, you may not see that a whole lot because like they're all worried about security, right? So most of the
Yeah.
AI, if you use it under your corporate entity, you're basically using the AI within your own network. So they're not going to let you just pull random stuff from all over the place. But anyway, so there you go. There was George Lucas and his thoughts on the world of Star Wars and his thoughts on AI. I don't know. I like you said, Beard, he's kind of backtracking a little bit, but do you think he regrets selling Star Wars?
I think he does.
I would have to think so.
I mean, I think he does in the sense of because of
The
what's
negative.
happened. What's happened to it? I mean, what they've done with it. I mean,
Well, and part of what he sold
not-
were outlines for at least 2 movies. His idea for
Yeah.
sequels, and
Yeah.
they tossed those in the trash can.
yeah, they were like, great, thanks. I mean, it's very true. That's how they were. Because he was like, hey, he's like, here you go. He's like, here are my treatments for kind of what I would if I were to if I were to have made these myself, here's what I would have done. And I mean, yeah, I think because of that. At the same time, though, I think there's probably part of him too where he's just like, I never would have been able to have done any more than I already had.
I think he could have, but his personality is not a hands-off type, and he would have to have been hands-off to let it move forward.
Well, I would say George probably should have been the producer of the prequels. He probably should not have been the director.
Right.
Correct. I would agree with
that. That's what I go to with like anything else, that if he would have made it, I think that's really where he should have been. He should have, been the producer, but not the director.
Yeah, I would agree on that. But he so wanted to make them. So, anyways, well, one thing AI is never going to teach you how to do, and this guy's we've had this PSA before, but this AI will never teach you to be as cool as this guy.
Now, if you want to be sure to sound hip in the 90s.
Yo, a greeting.
Yo, Curb, what's up?
Bucked. In the 80s, it was just wasted.
I don't know how many I had, but boy, did I get bucked. I sure felt it the next morning. That was really the worst thing I'd ever done.
I hope you didn't drive home.
No way.
MacGyver, as in the TV show where the impossible is often accomplished.
I can't believe you got off that speeding ticket. What a MacGyver.
Norville, to secretly undermine.
What? I can't believe you stole your job. You've really been Norville.
Black & Decker, or a real tough assignment. You get the analogy, right?
This job is a real grind. It's just a Black & Decker.
Some phrases may be around forever.
Well, look, I gotta run. Peace.
Bye, Tom.
One last word for words of the 90s. You got to remember that hip slang changes rather quickly, so if you want to use any of these phrases, you better use them in a hurry. I mean, think of Bart Simpson. Cowabunga is dreadfully out of date, hardly out of style, and you don't want to appear biotic, do you?
Well, thanks, cashmere sweater guy.
Oh my god.
Cowabunga is out of style.
Look, MacGyver still works. You can still MacGyver your way out of a situation, but not the one they demonstrated. You don't just like talk your way out of it. You have to actually use your brain and be creative. That's MacGyvering.
Yeah. Rick and R2, you got bucked over the weekend.
I did. My blood sugar really got me bucked.
Yeah, and Beard, you and I, we were surprised that he MacGyvered his way out of that.
Well, I just peace.
Peace.
It's like
AI will never teach you to be cool.
Black & Decker sounds like that weird like section of British slang where they say like we're in a load of Barney? If you're in a load
it's a
of
bit of
Barney,
Black and
you're in,
Decker in here.
yeah, because if you're in a load of Barney, you're in a load of trouble because Barney rubble rhymes with trouble. I don't know. There's this entire weird kind of you can go down that rabbit hole of weird British slang where they come up with a word that rhymes with another word, then you use a different word in place of that first word.
I now wish we had that scene from Euro Trip where he's talking to the soccer hooligan, and
I
he's
want to
telling the
find
story.
whatever DVD or VHS that is on, or like the full thing.
It's like I already go like all these people are it's like watching like your parents try and act cool.
I just want to literally go find that tape and have it at home. Now, we do have some other. I was actually shocked by this. I didn't know he was this person was very young. He did unfortunate. Do you remember the guy from Super Size Me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that came out? Do you remember like the?
Oh yeah, I remember that all came out.
The chaos before and after it, because this guy was going around just eating McDonald's, and then this guy is Morgan Spurlock. Unfortunately he passed away over the weekend. He was only 53, which is I thought he was a much older person.
Good night, love it. Thanks for
Yes, and have a happy Memorial Day, by the way. And
yeah, wasn't his show like one of those first big like Hulu hits? Like it was like on streaming. I remember.
I don't know if
he
it
did
was
like a CNN show too.
No, it was on
a couple.
He had a show, yes, but his documentary where he ate McDonald's for 30 days was in 2004.
Okay.
He gained like 24 pounds when he did that.
I don't want to before we get to this. I don't want to besmirch the man's name. He's gone, but it did come out later that he was doing a lot of things that was off the books that he didn't put down in his calorie log. So it kind of called some of his symptoms into question.
Like
I mean, still obviously
he was like
not,
brushing his teeth
not,
with like shakes.
well, he was binge drinking. That's the main one that came out. But I mean, still his point is valid. You shouldn't be eating this every single day because it'll wreck your life. But unfortunately, that data kind of.
Well, this came out in 2004. He and then this is when you can get like those like
super size,
like those massive like 64-ounce drinks.
It's also when a box of nuggets was like $2.
Yeah, so here's a little clip of this, and I'm gonna play it here. See
over the course of my McDiet, I consumed 30 pounds of sugar from their food.
There you go, Rick. 30 pounds of sugar. You'll be good forever.
That's a pound a day. On top of that, I also took in 12 pounds of fat.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying nobody's supposed to.
I love the handlebar. Look at those prices. Look at that.
Yeah. That's wild.
Look at this.
Well,
look at
really quick. I was just gonna say, because I remember when this came out, and like my mom, like, criticizing it heavily, but it was just his point was. I mean, it was a little insulting, but he was just saying, right, like so many places shove the largest amounts, and it is like implied that you can eat this every day and it's just fine, like come eat McDonald's, but people can think for themselves and decide I'm not going to eat this every day, right? And
although one of the things that he did point out that was news to me was like even in like the healthy options, like he would have one of the McDonald's salads,
right?
And then when you look at the nutritional information, there was actually a ton of sugar in the dressing that they included with the salad. Like, you wouldn't think sugar in it, and it wasn't just like natural sugars; it was added stuff later on. So,
besides French fries,
because there are people who were like, I ate McDonald's every day for 30 days and I lost weight, but it was like I got a small and I ran, for 5 miles afterwards. It's like, well, you were doing things productive.
Hey, look, there's the salads. They don't even make those.
Yeah. Like the McShaker salads, like those were like not healthy whatsoever. But
they still do the parfait, yogurt parfaits.
Yeah,
they just don't do the wraps and the salads anymore.
To me, the one thing on this that was really.
Hold on. Let's see. Chicken McNuggets, new chicken McNuggets, made with all white meat. It's pretty racist.
Is the end when he takes a bunch of the hamburgers and he takes the fries and they don't mold.
Is that what you looked like when you were in the hospital? When you were
my breasts are a lot more impressive than
Okay.
his. That's all I can say.
I guess the big question is, who do you want to see go first?
I mean, I don't know if this was a part of the catalyst of it. I think it was mostly seeing myself on a home video at the neighborhood pool. And I remember thinking, why did my mom zoom in on that fat kid? Oh, that's me. But this was kind of about the time where I actually stopped eating all fast food and started I gave up all sugary Cokes and things like that. And lost a decent amount of weight just by doing that and being a little active. I don't know if this was part of the catalyst, but it was kind of around the same time.
He was doing a lot of different things like this. He eventually did that show, like you said, he did where he showed a lot of other things where if you consumed or did a lot, right? And it was a whole thing in the early 2000s. Like you had a show about a guy who went around and just ate like all the man versus food. You had that
Yeah,
guy.
he did all the challenges.
You did, and then you had one guy. It was on Spike TV. It was 3 Sheets to Win. He did all the drinks. He drank everywhere. He drank a lot.
Well, the guy who did the man versus food. I think for the last season or two, he ended up having to quit. He wrecked his stomach.
Yeah, he quit. He and then they brought on some another dude and then another woman. They did a lady, I think. But anyways, yes, the guy Morgan Spurlock, he did unfortunately, sadly, pass away. He now it was said by his brother, it was a sad day as we said goodbye to my brother Morgan. Morgan gave us so much through his art, ideas, and generosity. The world has lost a true creative genius and a special man. I'm so proud to have worked together with him. So, I mean, he was pretty smart to do that right there. So,
I don't know if you mentioned it was complications from cancer.
Yes,
he passed away from, and to Morgan Spurlock's credit, agree with his kind of the content he created or not. He was very personable, obviously very easy to talk to because he could basically talk to anybody during his filming for documentaries and such.
Right.
And so I wouldn't have minded to have met him.
Well, I was gonna say another one too. I remember I read recently about him that they also say that probably contributed to his negative results from that is that at the time his girlfriend, I think they even got married for a while, it was a vegan chef and he ate a heavily vegan diet, so immediately going to that type of food, that rich heavy food, was a huge shock to his system.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I was gonna say the other thing too that now is really creepy in that documentary is he goes to a couple of schools, but one of them he goes to, it's got Jared from Subway that comes to talk.
Oh,
school, and he's talking to moms and daughters and stuff. Yeah.
Oh no!
And, oh, this does not age well.
I forgot.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, R2, I found something just for you.
Diabetes.
55, you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free meter from Liberty Medical. If you have type 2 diabetes like I have, you're confronted with choices. You can choose to feel sorry for yourself. I hope you don't. I hope you choose to get involved with a good doctor. Find out some things about diabetes and your own body in the bargain. You'll learn to check your own blood sugar and check it often. That, along with a simple diet and exercise program, can help keep your diabetes under control. If you're on Medicare, call Liberty Medical. We'll help you keep your diabetes under control. First, we'll give you a free meter. No one is more serious than Liberty about helping you keep your diabetes under control. That's why we're a proud sponsor of the American Diabetes Association in their mission to prevent and cure diabetes.
Call for your free meter and ADA offer. Call 1-800.
What is it? I want to say when Paul Rudd did the first Ant-Man film, I think they had said he was the same age as Wilford Brimley when Wilford Brimley did Cocoon. It was 52.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Yeah.
every time I see him, I think that, and then I think about him going nuts and sabotaging everything when a shape-shifting alien showed up and Kurt Russell had to battle it.
Yeah, you should grow a mustache like that. One other exciting thing happened over the weekend. Or actually today. Beard of Liberty saved a frog.
It's not exciting.
You saved a little frog.
He was just a little frog.
Now, how the heck did you see this thing on your lawnmower?
I don't know. I'm just going along with the riding mower, and I see this little.
Did your beard start to tingle?
No. Do you see how small that thing is? Unless your hands are super big.
I don't have very big hands, so yeah, this tiny little thing was just like jumping around in front of me. I thought, there's probably a million of these things around. I've probably run over him already once or twice, but I'm going to go ahead and stop and move him out of the way. But also, I just wanted to get a picture because it's a tiny frog.
It is. It's very tiny. It's a baby.
Instead of going like full Ivan Drago and being like, if he lives, he lives. It's like, I'll save him.
I mean, honestly, when I was looking closer at it, it looks like it's probably a baby toad, one of the kind of generic toads we've got around here. But who knows? It could actually be one of the endangered, like Bufus houstonus. There's like an endangered Houston area toad around here.
And then you found this thing.
Yeah, I went and got back on the mower, and there was a tiny little spider on the steering wheel. And when I went to take a picture, he jumped on my arm.
Yeah, it's jumping spider.
I don't usually relocate spiders, but he jumped on my arm, so I decided, okay.
Jumping spiders are pretty cool. It's shocking how something that little like that has such personality to him.
I'm having
because when I got my camera down there, my phone down there close to take a picture, he like put his legs up, started going, I'm ready to fight you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm having the bug guy come on Wednesday, so no spiders are going to come around here. So
jumping spiders are the good ones.
I know, but
they keep other pests away. The wolf
bug
spiders
spray,
you need to worry about.
The bug spray, it does not discriminate.
Why do you have to worry about wolf spiders? Don't wolf spiders eat other things?
Yeah, they do bite.
They're nasty, dude.
Kids.
Like they.
Say what's creepy though is you ever found like a mama one that's got all like the babies on her back and like you touch it.
If a toddler or a little kid like my son, if he gets bit by a wolf spider, it could do some harm to his.
I didn't think wolf spiders could. Their venom was that damaging. I just thought like the bite would hurt.
It depends. It depends. I've been bitten by several spiders and I've never seen them when they bite me. I just discover a wound that doesn't want to heal for weeks on end. And that's the only thing I have is a spider bite. I still have marks on down on my ankles from some spider bites.
Yeah. So in Texas, I have realized if you take a blanket out of the closet you haven't used for a while, make sure you shake it out.
Yes.
Because you might.
If not for spiders,
and I did notice too, if I go on a work trip for like a week and I'm not in this office, things start making spider webs. So we're gonna handle that one real quick. So anyway,
I think you've just got extra bad luck. Either that, or I just haven't noticed and don't care.
Well, okay, alrighty.
Welcome to Spider Talk.
Yeah, Spider-Man. All right, that's it. I don't think I have any other topics. Rick, I'm glad you are feeling better. I'm glad you made it to Saturday.
Me too. It's glad to know that you don't have a co-host that's a vegetable.
Also, we didn't mention it earlier when you and I did the Monday show. You originally weren't supposed to be there. You showed up anyway, and I appreciate that. I want to shout out Lily 300 Mirrors and Shadow of Hawk, Pidgey the White, I think on Twitter. I don't know. It's got weird names. They very last minute agreed to join me to talk about some Star Wars.
I was gonna say, didn't Shadow show up at the last minute?
Yeah, pretty much.
He came a little late, but no, we had a good time with Lily and Shadow. We would always like to have them back on. We had a fun time talking about Star Wars. Now, before we go, I'm going to do my favorite clip of our Star Wars clips.
Come to the dark side.
haven't played that one in a while.
I know it's
I'm
been a
always
while.
a little disturbed that Cannoli's got that 360-degree neck going on.
Yeah.
Only
it's
I
a
had some
little
AI to fix that.
Now, we do want to remind you that we do have some merch out there. It's summer now. So unless you're weird and you want to wear a hoodie during the summer, you could. But we also have a t-shirt out there. So if you want to get our t-shirt or hoodie at mixtees.com after the weekend logo, we'll give you 20% off with the ATW code. I think this also works on Late Night with Cap as well. There you go. There's a shirt. You're wearing it. And don't be shy, and make sure if you haven't already, go check out our friends over there at criticless.com. The hat. They're really great. I think their app is, well, at least on Google Play, is well above 500 downloads, which is actually really good for an app out there. And they're doing pretty good with their website. And they have a channel. You can check them out too.
Yeah. I was gonna say the channel has been pretty good. I've been checking them out quite.
Yeah,
a bit.
we're gonna make sure to get Blaine back on and hang out with him. I'm sure we'll do some more Star Wars stuff in the future because all these anniversaries are coming, and I'm pretty sure we will.
We need to make it a quid pro quo, though. We'll invite him back, but he's got to invite us on to their show.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you watching, Blaine? Anyway, so yeah, we can do that. But I'm. Again, it's been a fun Saturday night. I'm glad I was able to spend it with all three of you. Any last words, Rick? On
Well, I was gonna say we don't have anything for Monday because it's Memorial Day. I know everybody will be enjoying the holiday, but for June, we'll be back with summer vacation films. For the month of June. And. I don't know if we're announcing what we're doing for July yet, but
no.
Surprise. Okay.
People have to be there for the summer movie reviews because you never know which one of those shows we're going to tell you what July is. You have to be there for all of them.
Yeah. See, because it'll skip all the way to July. Beard. Any last words? Anything you want to say?
No.
Save the frogs.
Good.
Save the frogs. Okay.
Look, when you're out and about outside, look for the little things. Makes you a happier person.
Yeah, that's what R2 does when he comes to visit me.
Well, you guys are all little. I mean,
he's okay. Alrighty. Anyways, well, yeah, because I guess we do fit in the hospital beds.
Yeah. I will say this. I fit in the hospital bed better than I fit inside JT's car.
Oh God, you probably don't want to ride in my car ever.
That day,
it's pretty tiny.
We got in the JT's car, and I was like, "Hey."
Okay. Alrighty, everyone, you have a great weekend. The rest of the weekend, have a wonderful Memorial Day, and to all of you who have served, who watch us. We do appreciate what you've done, and we hope you enjoy your time off, everyone. And you kind of take a moment to reflect. Some of the people who have literally were real heroes, and shedded blood for the freedoms we have today, that we can talk silly, stupid things on YouTube.
Dick and fart jokes.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All right.
folks.
So everyone, you have a good weekend and be safe out there, and especially because it is a holiday weekend, and we will talk to you all later. See ya.
Truck to refrigerators to dumpster, 360 spin onto the palace, backflip gainer into the trash.
This is it. Big, just relax and have fun. Just gonna have fun with it.